Hey everyone, welcome back to the next installment of the December Mania. In the previous episode, we did the 3 Sinnoh legendaries Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina in Pokemon Platinum, and they were quite interesting runs to do, and they still served quite a challenge. Now, we are going to be doing Pokemon Heart Gold with the Johto starters, Meganium, Typhlosion, and Feraligatr. This is a much more improved version of Pokemon Crystal, and even though it still has the bad level curve, a lot of fights have been made a lot harder, especially with smarter AI, so this will be quite a fun video to work on, so let's get straight into it. We'll start with Meganium for this first section of the game. We'll go over the base stats and the movesets, and then we'll talk about what Meganium does before the first badge. We have a base stat total with Meganium of 525 with 80 HP, 82 attack, 100 defense, 83 special attack, 100 special defense, and 80 speed. So Meganium is very defensive. It doesn't have the best speed in the world, but it will do. And if you take a look at our level up moveset, we start with Growl, Poison Powder, Razor Leaf, and Tackle. And then throughout level up, we'll get Synthesis, Reflect, Magical Leaf, which is another version of Swift, Natural Gift. How this move works, it basically is like a one-time hidden power, but its type and base power is based on your held berry. So I'm really hoping that'll find some use in the run. It'd be quite interesting. And then we'll get Petal Dance, Sweet Scent, Light Screen, Body Slam, Safeguard, Aromatherapy, which just gets rid of status conditions, and Solar Beam. Through TMs and HMs, our notable moves are Bullet Seed, Hidden Power, Giga Drain, Solar Beam, Iron Tail, Earthquake, Return, Reflect, Secret Power, Energy Ball, Swords Dance, and Grass Knot. So yeah, basically the early game of Heart Gold is basically the exact same as Crystal. It just takes longer because it takes longer to move through the overworld because we don't have the running shoes yet. But after I get to Cherry Grove City, I can talk to the running gentleman right here, and normally in Crystal he gives you the map card, but in this game he gives you the running shoes. There is an option on the bottom screen to have your running shoes always be on, but I don't like to have that on because running through the grass increases your encounter rate and it can make spinners look at you. So I would rather just hold B. And also, all of our starters are in the medium slow experience group, so early on we will be gaining a lot of experience. I defeat any wild Pokemon I encounter early on, talk with Mr. Pokemon and Professor Oak, and then as I head back through Cherry Grove City, I am challenged by the rival. He's just named Passerby Boy because we didn't give the officer his name yet. He starts with a Cyndaquil because I always have the rivals use the fire starter. I defeat the Cyndaquil quite easily, tell the police officer that Steve is stealing things again, and then right afterwards, Ethan here, which is the male protagonist for Heart Gold, he shows me how to catch a Pokemon. Here's another thing though, playing as the female character in this game actually saves time, because if you play as the male and your companion is Lyra, she will pretend to battle something and then do it for real, while Ethan just gets straight to the point. So literally playing as the girl character saves you like 20 seconds. And then on this route, I catch a Sentret for Cut and Surf. I could also catch a Pidgey for Fly if I want to, but that's what the Kenya and Goldenrod City will be for. I defeat the early trainers right before Violet City, and then I enter Violet City. I also do get the phone number for Bugcatcher Wade because if he chooses to call you, he can give you berries. Berries are not easy to come by in this game, so it might come in handy, so I just get his number. And then when I arrive in Violet City, I heal at the center and enter the Sprout Tower. The Sprout Tower is 100% mandatory in this game because otherwise you cannot enter Falkner's gym. But I don't struggle in here. Literally the only thing in here are a bunch of Bellsprouts. Although Elder Lee at the end does have a Hoot Hoot. And Elderly's team actually comes close to knocking me out, but luckily I still win. I don't even remember if I saved for that fight. And then when I escape rope out of the tower, I am at level 15 and now have the move Synthesis. This move will heal half of my HP in normal weather, or if it's raining or sandstorm it heals half of that, but in the sun it heals 3/4 of my health. But that's not going to be coming in handy right now because I don't have Sunny Day. So I defeat Falkner's optional gym trainers, and then I take on Falkner himself. He doesn't have Mud Slap like he does in Crystal, so in my opinion that does make him a lot easier. His Pidgey does have Sand Attack though, so I gotta be careful. And then his Pidgeotto, it does have Roost, so if you can't knock it out quickly enough, it's gonna keep constantly healing its HP, which it does try to keep doing. I was trying to spam Growl on the Pidgeotto to make it stop doing so much damage with Gust, and then I'll use Synthesis to keep my health up, and then once I'm ready, I just start spamming tackles, although I just keep missing so many times, and then I get hit with a crit and Meganium gets its first reset. This is why people say Meganium is the worst starter in this game, because so many gyms we're gonna have a type disadvantage. Luckily though, on the second attempt, I get way better luck against Falkner, and then I get the first badge with a split time of 14 minutes and 51 seconds. Alright, let's see how Typhlosion and Feraligatr do. Let's start with Typhlosion. Typhlosion has a base stat total of 534 with 78 HP, 84 attack, 78 defense, 109 special attack, 85 special defense, and 100 speed. Fun fact, this is not only the same base stat total as Charizard, but it's the exact same spread too. Literally the two have the exact same stats. And then our starting moveset consists of Ember, Leer, Smokescreen, and Tackle. We also do get Gyro Ball at level 1 too, but that's only via move relearner, but I don't see that move being useful. And then past the level 1 moveset, we can get Quick Attack, Flame Wheel, Defense Curl, Swift, Lava Plume, Flamethrower, Rollout, Double Edge, and Eruption. And then some notable TMs we can learn are Focus Punch, Hidden Power, Sunny Days, Solar Beam, Earthquake, Return, Dig, Brick Break, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Rock Tomb, Aerial Ace, Secret Power, Overheat, Focus Blast, Shadow Claw, Gyro Ball, and Rock Slide. So definitely a nice move variety. The early game before Falkner pretty much goes exactly the same as Meganium, but I have an even easier time in the Sprout Tower due to having Ember for all those little things. But now let's see how Falkner goes. Like I said before, he doesn't have Mud Slap, so for Typhlosion specifically, that is very, very good. But you know what else is really good? Typhlosion ends up burning the Pidgeotto, so I'm able to defeat it in 2 hits instead of 3, and Typhlosion gets a split of 14-39. Feraligatr has a base stat total of 530, with 85 HP, 105 attack, 100 defense, 79 special attack, 83 special defense, and 78 speed. So we are slightly slower than Meganium, but we're going to have the best physical attack of the 3. Plus, Feraligatr really suffered in Gen 2 since all of its stab water moves were special, but now with access to physical water moves like Aqua Tail and Waterfall, it's definitely going to be really nice. But let's see exactly which moves we get. We start off with Leer, Rage, Scratch, and Water Gun, and then throughout the levels we'll get Bite, Scary Face, Ice Fang, Flail, Agility, Crunch, Slash, Screech, Thrash, Aqua Tail, Super Power, and Hydro Pump. We also get the HM moves Surf and Waterfall too. Fun fact, in Gen 2, Feraligatr could not learn Waterfall. But this time we do get Waterfall. It's going to be our best physical water move, but we'll have to wait a long time till we get that. And then some notable TMs we get are Focus Punch, Dragon Claw, Water Pulse, Hidden Power, Ice Beam, Blizzard, Rain Dance, Iron Tail, Earthquake, Return, Dig, Brick Break, Rock Tomb, Aerial Ace, Secret Power, Focus Blast, Dragon Pulse, Shadow Claw, Avalanche, Swords Dance, and Rock Slide. So yeah, that's all the stats and movesets out of the way. Let's see how Feraligatr takes on Falkner. Feraligatr, like the others, arrived at Falkner at level 15. I now have Bite on my moveset, which is a 60 base power dark type move that is physical in this game. So it takes advantage of our much higher attack stat, and I defeat Falkner using Bite with a split time of 13:44. So if we take a look at our Falkner splits, Feraligatr is in the lead, with Typhlosion in second place by around 50 seconds or so, and Meganium is shortly behind, but it's still way too early to tell. I only really make splits at the first gym leader because oftentimes Pokemon can get really far behind depending on how their first gym goes. But now for this next section of the game, we are going to be going over Bugsy, Whitney, and then end it off with Morty. This is a section I like to call Chapter 2, The Early Game. For the early game, since we already talked about Meganium, why don't we go with Typhlosion this time and see how he does. Our reward for defeating Falkner is the TM for Roost. None of our contenders can learn it, so I thought I'd just mention it. And then I go into the Pokemart, get our egg, and then buy some potions and repels and stuff like that. And then before leaving, I talk to this guy right here where he gives the HM for Rock Smash. Normally in Crystal version, you have to have gotten rid of the Pseudo-Widow, but in this game you can just go get it right away. Rock Smash is not mandatory to beating this game, but the reason I got it is because there is a rare candy in the Ruins of Alph guarded by a Rock Smash boulder. We'll get it eventually. I defeat the trainers along Route 32 and end up in the Union Cave. I go in the back right here, and instead of Swift like in Crystal, I can get the TM for Rock Tomb. This will be very helpful for the upcoming Bugsy fight. And then as soon as I exit the cave, I accidentally fight Hiker Anthony because in this game you actually can avoid him through the grass, but I just did a terrible job. And then I talk to Kurt, he runs off to the Slowpoke well, I heal at the center first, and then I follow him down, chase out Team Rocket. I'm not really going to cover Team Rocket most of the time because they're very easy. Although I will mention while down there, I have learned the move Flame Wheel, which I taught in the place of Quick Attack. The reason I have Ember and Flame Wheel on my moveset is because Flame Wheel is physical while Ember is special. You might want to keep a physical and a special move just in case something's more defensive than special defensive. And then as soon as I rescue all the Slowpoke, Kurt gives me a fastball, which I'll definitely use, and then I can go inside Bugsy's gym. When I enter his gym, I take out his gym trainers, do a little spinner rack puzzle, do the mandatory double battle that's here, and then I can take on the second gym leader, Bugsy. He has the same Pokemon as in Crystal, but he leads with his Scyther this time. Alright then, I go for Ember as a misclick. I meant to go for Rock Tomb, but oh well. I knock out the Scyther. Then next up is the Metapod. This Metapod only has Tackle. And then this following Kakuna only has Poison Sting. So yeah, Bugsy's team is honestly even easier because he doesn't even save his Scyther for last. And then with Bugsy defeated, he gives me the TM for U-Turn, which is basically a bug type move that forces a switch, so it's going to be useless in a solo run most of the time, because I can't switch out on purpose. But now with 2 badges under our belt, I can go towards the Ilex Forest, but I have to take on Rival 2 first. He leads off with a Ghastly, and the first thing I do is go for Flame Wheel, which knocks it out in 1 hit. Okay. Next up is Zubat. Flame Wheel does the same thing. You know, why do I even have Rock Tomb again? Oh right, for the following Quilava, because without Rock Tomb, my best answer for it would be Quick Attack. Plus this Quilava has Smokescreen, so it's definitely ruining my accuracy right now, but I eventually knock it out. And then in the Ilex Forest, I catch the 2 Farfetch'd, and then I get the HM for Cut. And then while I'm in the forest, I can talk to this guy right here who will teach one of your Pokemon Headbutt. Headbutt's not a TM in this game, it's just an infinite move tutor. And then with Headbutt obtained, I leave the Ilex Forest and make my way to Goldenrod City after Ethan shows me around the daycare. When I enter Goldenrod City, just like Pokemon Crystal, there's a lot of errands we have to do. The first thing I do is go in the underground path, take out the trainers that are down here. And then during the training, I now have Defense Curl, which I taught in the place of Rock Tomb. I don't know if Defense Curl is going to be useful, but it's more useful than Rock Tomb. And then with the trainers defeated, I can get the Bicycle for faster transportation. And then I can go in the Radio Tower and then get the Radio Card. And now I'm going to do the Game Corner. I'm going to briefly go over my rules for the Game Corner in this game because it's not like the other games. You're not able to buy coins with money and then exchange them for prizes. So one compromise I have, so I don't ban the Game Corner entirely, because the Game Corner hides away valuable TMs like Rest and Swords Dance. So if you have to use a Pokemon that needs rest, you're kinda screwed. So what I allow is I allow the use of save states during Voltorb flip. So if I flip a Voltorb, I can just revert a save state and just keep going until I have enough coins. I don't think this is too broken because I did time it. In order to get the most expensive TM, it takes like 12 minutes of playing this game on 3 times speed. And besides, I wouldn't even have to do it if you can just simply buy coins. So I figured this was fair. I keep playing the game until I get 11,886 coins, and the main thing I buy is the TM for Flamethrower. Cause in the early game, I'm gonna miss a lot of damage ranges without more power, so getting Flamethrower early is gonna be very, very useful. And then with this new move in hand, I go inside the gym and take on Whitney. Whitney's gonna be a disadvantage for Typhlosion because her Miltank has Rollout, but on her Clefairy, I take it out with 1 Flamethrower, and now comes the Miltank. I go for Flamethrower, almost knocking it out, but she wastes her 1 turn with Stomp. So yeah, that's an easy win. And then afterwards, she gives me the TM for Attract. This move is super useful for the red fight because all his Pokemon are male, and I always play with female Pokemon unless I have no choice, like if I'm doing Hitmonchan, which can only be male. Cause having the opponent infatuated gives them a flat 50% chance to not attack you, and it lasts forever until they get knocked out or are forced to switch. And then with Whitney's badge, I can go in the flower shop and talk to this girl and get the Squirt Bottle. In Crystal, you had to go up to the Pseudo-Widow tree first, then teleport back. No need to do that in this game. And then I fight the trainers leading up to the Pseudo-Widow tree. But before I talk to the Pseudo-Widow tree, in the National Park, I get the TM for Dig. I'm not going to be teaching it to my Typhlosion, but Sentret's going to be my Dig user. Dig is very useful in Heart Gold, especially with how many places you gotta escape out of when collecting rare candies later. And then while I'm moving around, my Togepi hatches out of the egg. Unlike Crystal, you want to hold on to your Togepi because he'll be your Rock Smash user. And your Flash user if you want. Because since the Bellsprout Tower is mandatory, you will always have Flash. And now that the Pseudo-Widow is gone, this woman here will give me an Oran and a Pecha Berry. These are some of the few berries you just get for free. The rest of the berries, you actually have to exchange shards to a man in Violet City and Fuchsia City who will give you berries. So then as soon as I get rid of the tree, I smash this rock right here in the Ruins of Alph, find a red shard for my troubles, but right behind it is the rare candy. So now with the red shard obtained, this guy will give me a cherry berry, a Pecha Berry, and a Leppa Berry. I mainly wanted the cherry berry. Going to the Ruins of Alph for smashing for shards, it's one of the best places to do it. Each shard gives you 3 different berries, and there's 4 different shards, so there's 4 different packages of berries you can get. And then, before I enter Ecruteak, there are these 2 beauties here you have to face in a double battle, and they are kinda difficult because they each have a Wigglytuff and a Clefable. If you've seen my red and blue randomizer streams, you will know that Clefable and Wigglytuff are quite hard to deal with because they know Minimize. So let's see how this fight goes. Fortunately though, I'm level 28, and having access to Flamethrower just makes them a one-shot. Although the thing that kinda sucks is that my HM users are going to be leveling up too. At least this isn't black and white. If this was the modern formula, my Sentry would be leveling up like 30 million times. And now with those 2 women defeated, I can enter Ecruteak City, go in the center, talk to Bill, and heal up. And then I need to go inside the Kimono Girl building, and then rescue this one Kimono Girl from this Team Rocket Grunt, and then as a reward this guy will give me the HM for Surf. I use this to teach to my Sentret. And at this point in Crystal, I could use my Abra to teleport back after doing the training towards the Lighthouse or the Lake of Rage. But you do not need the Abra in Heart Gold just because you don't have room in your party for it. So the training is just not mandatory. So I just go straight into the Burn Tower and take on Rival 3. He leads off with a level 20 Ghastly. 1 Flamethrower knocks it out. Okay. Now for the Magnemite. This thing is weak to Flamethrower, so I don't know what you were expecting. And then next up is the Zubat, 1 Flamethrower knocks it out. And then finally is the Quilava. I don't have Rock Tomb for it, but 2 Flamethrowers should be enough. And then now that the rival's defeated, I can chase off the legendary beasts, and then I can dig out and enter the Ecruteak City Gym where I can take on Morty. Morty is also kind of difficult in Heart Gold for the same reason as Crystal. Do not let his lead Pokemon set up Curse. Especially since in this game, they changed it so, like in Crystal, if you one-shot the opponent, you won't take Curse damage. They just completely eliminated that in this game. So if you do get hit with Curse by the first Ghastly, you are 100% screwed. And then once his final Haunter is knocked out, I defeat Morty with a split time of 52 minutes and 49 seconds. Alrighty, now let's head on over to Feraligatr and see how he does through the mandatory fights. I take out the optional trainers in the early routes up to Azalea Town quite easily, and now I can fight Bugsy. As usual, he leads off with his Scyther, and the first thing I do is go for Bite, doing less than half, but luckily Bite lowered his defense, so that's good. And then my second Bite flinches, and then I can move on. And now at this point, at level 21, I can learn Ice Fang. This is a very good move. It's a 65 base power Ice-type move that's 95% accurate, which includes a chance to flinch. And then I just use my newly found Ice Fang to take out the rest of Bugsy's team. Rival 2 is obviously not going to be a challenge either, especially with his Quilava since I literally have Water Gun. And then while going through the forest, I have the Headbutt guy teach Headbutt over Rage, which has proved to be 0 use to us. And then I go do all the errands in Goldenrod City like I usually do. I don't do anything in the game corner this time because I don't need to, and I just go straight into Whitney's gym and take her on. She starts off with her Clefairy, Headbutt does the one shot. Okay, nice. I level up to level 26. Next up is the Miltank. I go for Headbutt. Unfortunately, I don't get a flinch. I don't get it the second time either, but luckily 3 Headbutts is just all I need, and I didn't put her into heal range. That's good. Also, while I'm doing the trainers in these upcoming routes, I just want to mention what my rule is in Heart Gold for Day of the Week items. Just like in Crystal, I banned myself from changing the time or day of the week in these runs. In Heart Gold though, time of day doesn't really matter because Curse is no longer a TM, but the day of the week does matter. Like on Sundays you can only get Return and stuff. So if I want Return, I have to play on Sunday. I get the TM for Dig in the National Park, and then I wake up and chase away the Sudowoodo. And then I can talk to this guy right here to get Rock Smash. I'm not going to get the Rock Smash candy right now because I don't need it right now. Plus, I don't need to get any berries yet. And then I defeat these two beauties with the Clefable and Wigglytuffs, and I can make it into Ecruteak. I completely destroy Rival 3, set off the Johto beasts, and then I can enter Morty's gym and take on the gym leader. And then unfortunately, while I was fighting this one trainer with Ghastly, I kept spamming A and I taught Agility over Bite. So I actually had to reset back to Rival 3 so I can get Bite back. Oops. Luckily that was only like a minute or two of time loss, so not really that bad. Because here's the thing, if I had lost Bite, I would lose my type advantage for this whole gym. Bite one-shots the Ghastly. Let's see if it can one-shot the Gengar. Yes, it does, thanks to my good attack stat. If this was using my special attack, it definitely wouldn't have. And then during the fight, to make things better, I learned Crunch over Bite. So yeah, this is going to completely destroy everything. And then with Feraligatr, I take out Morty and get a split time of 48 minutes and 42 seconds. Alright, now we just have Meganium. Also, this I do want to mention, when you leave Violet City and this guy stops you from leaving, when you have the badge, he'll actually give you the Miracle Seed, which boosts the power of Grass-type moves by 20%. This will definitely come in handy. You guys have been seeing the massive type disadvantage I've had at Faulkner, right? Well, I'll have a type disadvantage at Bugsy, Morty, Jasmine, Price, and Claire too. So yeah, I better get some training in. And then while I was leveling up, I now have the move Reflect. This'll definitely help for Bugsy since his U-turn is physical. I chase the Rocket Grunts out of the well, heal up at the center, and then I enter Bugsy's gym and take him on. On the Scyther, I go for a turn 1 tackle. I just keep going for tackle while the Scyther just keeps spamming the ever-living heck out of Leer. It was only doing that because I had the Reflect up, but then the U-turn just completely one-shots me. So that's interesting. If I set up a Reflect, the AI will just spam Leer. Alright, let me try that again. On the next attempt, when I get hit with U-turn, I'm left at 9 HP left. But this is why I have Synthesis, so when Bugsy switches into Kakuna, I can get myself back to full health. Luckily, the Kakuna does not poison me with Poison Sting, and then when the Scyther comes back out, I use Reflect to set my defense back up, and then he U-turns into Metapod. Okay, this thing only has Tackle, so I'll heal to full with Synthesis, and then knock out the Metapod. It's a good thing he doesn't have Harden. Alright Scyther, time to take you on again. I miss my tackle, and then a U-turn completely destroys me since the Reflect is no longer up. I decide instead of trying again, just take out Rival 2 first for the extra experience, which I do, and now at level 22, I have the option of learning Magical Leaf. Magical Leaf is 5 power points stronger than Razor Leaf, but it doesn't have the high crit chance. But in the end though, I decided to replace it for the extra power. And then I can continue training in the Union Cave for a while. I actually did think while I was doing this, Natural Gift might come in handy, but it would require 3 more levels of training, and that just would not be worth it because of how weak the training is. Plus, none of the berries I can get from that guy for the shards, none of them will be a good Natural Gift type. So I just decided to just forget about it and just come back to level 23. I misclicked on the Scyther and went for Magical Leaf on the first turn instead, but for some reason the Scyther just keeps spamming Quick Attack, and then eventually it went for U-turn knocking me out. It takes me until 6 resets into the run, I finally get the luck and damage ranges I need, and I can defeat Bugsy. Yeah, that is not a good head start. And then I can go through the Ilex Forest, get Headbutt on Meganium taught over Tackle, and then I can make my way up to Goldenrod City, and when I'm there, I actually do the Game Corner. There is something here that is super useful to me. It's not Flamethrower like it was for Typhlosion. I play the game until I have 7,383 coins, and then for 4,000 coins, I can get the TM for Swords Dance. This will boost my attack by 2 stages, plus I have leftover coins, so I buy a Silk Scarf. So yeah, once I combine the Silk Scarf with Headbutt and Return, as well as setting up with Swords Dance, this thing is going to cause extremely devastating damage. Because in the original Crystal version, Meganium could only learn Swords Dance by Egg Move, so it getting it by TM is definitely a huge upgrade. So let's see how it does on Whitney. On our Clefairy, I go for Magical Leaf knocking out the Clefairy. Alright, no Metronome shenanigans today. And then the Miltank, I just two-shot it with Razor Leaf. So yeah, I'm not using Swords Dance yet, but when I do start using it, I will. Because I want to hold on to Reflect for a bit longer. And then as soon as I take out the Sudowoodo, I can smash this boulder right here and get the rare candy. And then I just go in and out of this gate and infinitely refresh these rocks because I do need a certain berry coming up. And then I keep smashing some boulders, and then I exchange a red shard to this guy for a cherry, pecha, and a lepa berry, which is all I need. All I need is a cherry berry. It just sucks that cherry berry is one of the most useful berries in this game, and like, you can only get it from exchanging shards. And then when I enter Ecruteak City and I free the Kimono Girls, I go to this little area by the lake where I can get a hidden rare candy. But even though I could go fight Morty right away, if I can't one-shot his Ghastly or Haunter, they will get a curse up on me. So I decide to do some training first. I do all the training towards the left of Ecruteak up to Olivine City. And then when I get to Olivine City, I enter the mart and buy some super repels and super potions. And then I can head up the lighthouse, take out all the trainers that are up there, get another rare candy, and then I can talk to Jasmine, which does open up the secret potion house on Cianwood City. But obviously I can't go there yet because I can't use Surf. And then once I finish that training up, I go back to Ecruteak and do the training to the right. I go through Mount Mortar, fight all these trainers surrounding Mahogany Town, and I even go up to the Lake of Rage too. Alrighty, with all that training done, I can completely destroy the rival in the Burn Tower, let the legendary beasts roam free, and now let's try our hand at Morty. Morty starts off with Ghastly, and I did so much training, I am literally level 37 for this fight, which is definitely a bit overkill, but especially with the Gengar you can't be too safe, because level 38 I can actually become close to two-shotting it with Magical Leaf. But then luckily his Pokemon don't get off a curse on me, although they do love using their Hypnosises. But then eventually I get through their Hypnosis shenanigans, and I defeat Morty with a split time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. So if we take a look at the splits, Feraligator's in the lead with Typhlosion in second place, Meganium is very far behind. Although, Meganium is far behind because it had to do a bunch of training. And it even did the Lighthouse too, which is going to be mandatory later. So in later splits, Meganium will save time. But still, it's too early to tell who's actually winning, so now, let's move on to the next section of the game. We'll be going over Chuck, Jasmine, Price, the radio tower, and end it off with Claire. Basically everything before the Pokémon League. The reason this chapter is so big is because the Kanto section will be right afterwards, and that's also going to be just as long. So this next chapter is what I like to call Chapter 3, the mid-game. Since we've already started with Typhlosion and Meganium, we'll start with Feraligator this time. With Feraligator, I head on over to Olivine City, and then I go in this house right here to get the Good Rod. The reason I want the Good Rod is because there's a chance to fish up a Krabby. This Krabby will be our Surf, Strength, and Whirlpool user, and then our Waterfall user will just be the free Dratini. And then with Feraligator, I do the entire lighthouse, and then I surf my way down to Cianwood City, get the secret potion, and then I can enter the gym, take out Chuck's gym trainers, and then challenge him to a fight. Chuck leads with his level 29 Primeape. I go for Headbutt, and the only thing it does is just go for Double Team. Next up is his Poliwrath. I use Headbutt on it, and then it loses focus, so it can't use Focus Punch, so it instead tries to switch to Body Slam, and then I get a lucky critical hit and win the fight. So yeah, Poliwrath is definitely going to be random in this version too, because he could put you to sleep with Hypnosis, because here's the thing, there is no debuff to the enemy moves in Gen 3+, they completely got rid of it. It's only in Gen 1 and Gen 2 there were debuffs, so Hypnosis is 60% accurate. And then with Chuck defeated, I get the TM for Focus Punch, which will definitely come in handy later. And then I can teach Fly to Kenya the Spearow, and then I can head on over east towards Mahogany Town and then towards the Lake of Rage. You may notice now in my moveset, I now have the move Slash replaced with Headbutt, and I have Surf. Even though Surf is using my lower special attack, it's going to serve better than Water Gun for now. Plus, the move deleter is in Blackthorn City, so he's not too out of the way. And then I can take out the red Gyarados. In this game, you can actually run away from the red Gyarados and it'll disappear, but I choose to just defeat it because why not? And then at this point, we can talk to Lance and do the entire Rocket hideout in Mahogany. But before I do that, I go over here and get another rare candy. I'm probably going to miss a rare candy location or two. There are so many rare candies in this game. I get around 20 of them before red. And then with the entire rocket hideout done, I pretty much just skipped all of it because we don't need to see that. I can enter Price's gym, take out his trainers, and then take on Price himself. I can definitely tell you the remakes did not make him any harder. He's still just as easy as ever. He leads off with his level 30 Seal, and I just go for Slash, which almost knocks it out, but then Seal sets up the Hail. Okay. And then 2 more Slashes knock it out. Next up is the Piloswine. I go for Surf, which knocks it out in a single hit, and then finally is the Dewgong. I go for Crunch, doing half. It hits me with a Roar Beam, luckily not lowering my attack, and now Price is defeated. And since we did Price as our 6th gym leader, we can now do the next gym leader, which is Jasmine. I return the Secret Potion to Amphi, and then I can go back to her gym and take on the Steel-type leader. She still leads with a level 30 Magnemite like in Crystal, and then after she sends out her second one, next is her level 35 Steelix. However though, since it has very low special defense and it's weak to water, Surf is an easy one-shot. And then right afterwards, Professor Elm gives us that dreaded phone call talking about the radio tower. Yeah, this part takes a long time in Heart Gold because there's a lot of parts to it. Because in this game, you have to go in the basement to get a rocket disguise, and then you have to try and sneak in the tower. And then I just take out all the rocket grunts that are here, so I'm just going to skip ahead to Executive Petrol, because he can be the hardest rocket grunt in the whole building, because he has 5 coughing and a wheezing, and they all have moves that can poison you like Sludge, and Smokescreen to lower your accuracy. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I actually get a reset on this guy due to Poison and Smokescreen, so yeah, it's a good thing I saved before him. I am able to win on the second attempt, but just barely. Like, it was so close. And then I can go in the underground path, use the basement key, and then I can fight the rival again. He starts off with his level 32 Golbat. I go for Ice Fang, which does the one-shot. Nice. Alright, next up is the Magnemite. This thing can paralyze you. I misclick and go for Ice Fang, which it resists, but luckily it crits, so I don't get punished for it. And then the Haunter is a one-shot with Crunch. I get to level 46. Next up is the Quilava. One Surf completely destroys it. And then his final Pokemon is the Sneasel. One Surf leaves it in red health, so I honestly should have gone with Slash, but whatever. I take out the rest of the rocket grunts in the basement, I get the card key from the director, and then while I'm getting out, I head to the top floor of the department store, where I can get the TM for Return. Since I have Return, you can obviously tell I'm playing on a Sunday, because for most Pokemon, Return is one of the most important moves you can get. Although in this game, type boosting items are very useful because they're a 20% boost instead of 10% like in the original Crystal, but still, it's hard to beat the usefulness of Return. And then with the card key obtained, I can take out the last of the executives very easily, and then I completely liberate the tower, and then I can fly back to Mahogany Town, and then I can go east towards the ice path, go through this long ice-like maze, and then in here, I get the HM for Waterfall. I can't teach it right now though because I have Surf on my moveset. I'll have to talk to the move deleter in Blackthorn as soon as I get there. Speaking of Blackthorn, as soon as I arrive, I go in this house right here where the move relearner and move deleter are. I talk to the move deleter and have him forget Surf, and then I can have Surf be replaced with Waterfall. And then with the more powerful water type move due to my attack stat compared to my special attack, I can go inside the Blackthorn City gym and take on the 8th gym leader, Claire. Her team is mostly the same as in Crystal, but one of her Dragonairs is replaced with a Gyarados which she leads with, so physical attackers will struggle with her due to the free Intimidate. And Feraligatr is definitely one of them. At the start of this fight, I go for Crunch, dealing only a quarter, and then it hits me with Dragon Rage not doing that much. And then during the fight, I level up to level 50 and I have the chance to learn Thrash, but I say no because that move is trash. I rhymed. Anyway, for her 2 Dragonairs, I have Ice Fang for them. And then last up is her Kingdra. I misclick and go for Ice Fang, but it did so much damage due to that crit, I decided, maybe it'll work, but I decided not to risk it and I go for Return. But then unfortunately Return leaves it alive, but then it goes for Hyper Beam and leaves me at 7 HP. So yeah, that was pretty darn close. But I'm not going to split yet. The split is when I actually get the badge. So I go into the Dragon's Den, go inside the little house here, do the quiz. Fun fact, you get the Dratini at the end, no matter how you answer the questions. It's just if you get the questions wrong, your Dratini won't have extreme speed, which is an egg move. But it doesn't matter, all we need is a Dratini. And then as soon as we finish solving the quiz, Claire gives us our final badge for a split time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 20 seconds. Okay, that was definitely a huge section of the game, but you gotta remember, There's still the Elite Four in the entirety of Kanto, so we're far from finished. Now we're going to talk about Meganium and then move on over to Typhlosion. I head on back through Olivine City, and then I can surf straight to Cianwood. This will be one of the few gyms Meganium has a type advantage at, since Chuck's ace Pokemon is a water type. But let's see how this goes. On his lead Primeape, I go for Magical Leaf, and the Primeape uses Double Team, but it doesn't matter because I have Magical Leaf, which never misses. I level up to level 41. Next up is the Poliwrath. It tightens its focus, and then Focus Punch fails, it heals the Citrus Berry, and then the following Magical Leaf takes it out. So yeah, I didn't even once get damaged that whole fight. And then afterwards I can get the HM for Fly from Chuck's wife, and I use this to go back to Olivine City to return the Secret Potion. And then instead of going over to Price, since I have a type disadvantage there, I think it'd be a much better idea to do Jasmine first. Let's see if I live to regret that. She leads off with her Magnemite. I go for Magical Leaf and see how much it does. It does half, but then I get paralyzed with Thunder Wave. And remember, in Gen 4, the chance of not moving from paralysis is 50%. Then on the Steelix, Magical Leaf does half, but then the Citrus Berry heals it up, so it looks like it's going to be a 3-shot. There's the Hyper Potion, but then I get hit with too many Iron Tails, I get paralyzed, and I get a loss. On the next attempt, I get back to the Steelix at full health, and then after a while, I eventually knock it out, and then I can easily knock out the second Magnemite, so yeah, that was actually pretty easy. I know I did have a Cherry Berry, but I want to save that for Lance, because Lance's Pokemon do have Thunder Wave. And then at this point, I can fly to the Lake of Rage, defeat the Gyarados, and do the entire Mahogany hideout, so let's just skip straight ahead to Price. Price's Seal is a pure water type, so one Magical Leaf just destroys it. Next up is the Dewgong. I'm not sure if this will go down to one hit, but surprisingly it does. And then next up is the Piloswine. This thing is also weak to grass, so then one Magical Leaf knocks it out in one hit. So now that we have 7 badges, at this point we have to do the entire Radio Tower. And then while I'm doing the Radio Tower, at level 46 I have the option to learn Body Slam. I choose to get rid of Reflect since I don't need it anymore, so now I have Return and Body Slam. I mainly did this just for extra power points for this point in the game. I unfortunately, just like for Alligator, got one reset on Petrol, but that's to be expected since I am weak to poison. Although the resets were also from being poisoned and smokescreen, so yeah. And then as soon as I beat Petrol, I easily destroy Rival 4 in the basement, and then I get the card key from the Director at the end, and then I can head back into the tower and then clear the place of rockets once and for all. At least until I do Typhlosion, that is. So now at this point, I finally teach Swords Dance. So now you're going to start seeing this move in action. Oh yeah, I also have to get a Good Rod and catch a Krabby because I forgot to catch a Strength user. And then once I do that, I can go through the Ice Cave, get everything that I need in here. There's also a Never Melt Ice in here to boost Ice moves by 20%. I only get that with Feraligatr, I just forgot to mention it. And then I can finally enter Blackthorn City and take on Claire. She leads off with her Gyarados. I start off by setting up some Swords Dances. Oh yeah, you can see where this is going. And despite the Intimidate, leaving me at only +3 despite 2 Swords Dances, I one-shot the Gyarados, the Dragonair, get to level 53, and will it one-shot the Kingdra? Yes it does, and the second Dragonair goes down in one hit as well. So yeah, I'm definitely starting to make up time now. And then I go into the back of the Dragon's Den, solve the quiz, and then Claire gives me the badge with a split time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 12 seconds. Alright, we just have Typhlosion to go, so let's check him out. With Typhlosion, I wrap up the stuff in Ecruteak City and head on over to Olivine where I clear out the lighthouse and get to Jasmine up top. This will allow me to get the Secret Potion in Cianwood, so I surf on over to get it, and while I'm here, I go battle Chuck. Chuck leads with his Primeape, and the first thing I do is go for Flamethrower for the one-shot thanks to a critical hit. Okay, next up is the Poliwrath. Hopefully it doesn't use a water move. I go for Flamethrower doing a third, it hits me with Surf. I keep going for Flamethrower. I'm just hoping for it to use Focus Punch at this point, but I get too unlucky and it just keeps hitting me with Surf and I get my first loss. On the next attempt, I decide to start spamming Swift instead, but then for some reason, it started switching to Body Slam. This is getting interesting. On the third attempt, I get to the Poliwrath at full health, but then I reset because I realized I was out of power points on Swift. And then when I get back to it, I just start spamming Swift, the Poliwrath keeps using Body Slam, and eventually it goes for Focus Punch. Okay, it keeps going for Focus Punch over and over again, and then eventually it's just not able to move, and I eventually knock him out. So yeah, that was tough. So when I tried to fly back, I actually realized I forgot to pick up the Kenya, so I actually have to go back to Olivine City manually, return the secret potion to Jasmine, and then I can take her on in her gym. This is obviously going to be super easy for Typhlosion because her whole team is weak to fire type moves, and the Steelix is a one-shot. And then before I go take on Price, I go down and get the Kenya, and then I head on over to the Lake of Rage and do the whole Team Rocket stuff that's over here, and let's just take a look at Price, shall we? Even though more than half of Price's team is part water type, I'm not sure it'll be a problem for Typhlosion. On the Seal though, Flamethrower only does a third, so I decide to switch over to Swift, which is clearly doing more damage, and I knock it out. Next up is the Piloswine. This thing is actually weak to fire, so one Flamethrower takes it out. And the next Pokemon is Dewgong. This thing is only neutral to it, plus I don't remember if this thing has Thick Fat or not. I don't think it does, based on how much damage that did. But on the second turn, I decide to go for Swift instead for the knockout. And after this, I get that dreaded phone call, so now I've got to do all the radio tower stuff. Woohoo. The radio tower part is just one of my least favorite parts of any Johto playthrough. It takes forever, and there's only like 2 or 3 good fights in the whole area. But while I'm doing all the training here, I learned Rollout by Level Up. I will be incorporating Defense Curl with Rollout for upcoming fights. This combo will be super helpful, especially since the TMs for Rollout and Defense Curl don't exist in this game. And then while I'm in the department store after being done with the basement, I buy the TM for Solar Beam for later. And then I finally liberate the radio tower, and I talk to this one girl right here to get the TM for Sunny Day. Yeah, you can pretty much get an idea of what my final moveset's going to look like. And then I go over to Mahogany Town, go through the Ice Path, and make my way into Blackthorn City where I take on Claire. I wonder how her Kingdra's gonna go, since the Kingdra will double resist fire attacks. She leads off with her Gyarados. The first thing I do is go for a Defense Curl to make my rollout power start at 60 power instead of 30. And then if I can stack up enough rollouts, I can knock out the Gyarados on +2. Alright, +3 on Kingdra. Can I knock it out? Nope. But a +4 definitely would, but I get hit with Hydro Pump, so who knows. On the second attempt, I decide to not set up a Defense Curl and just go for Rollout instead, so maybe I can get to the Kingdra with a +4 instead of a +3. So I get to the Kingdra, I go for Rollout, it doesn't knock it out, it just goes for Dragon Pulse instead of Hydro Pump, probably detected a miss, and it left me at 4 HP. Okay, and unfortunately my Rollouts run out on this Dragonair, so I go for Return, it doesn't knock it out, and I get a loss. However though, 6 resets into the run, I get the luck I need, and I can finally take out Claire, solve the quiz at the Dragon's Den, and then get the final badge of Johto with a split time of 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 37 seconds. Okay, overall positioning has not changed that much. Feraligatr has a massive lead in first place, with Typhlosion in second, and Meganium is 4 minutes behind. This is not really looking good for Meganium. I just want there to be a starters versus video this summer where the water type doesn't just become the automatic winner. Can I just have that for once, please? I'm just hoping Swords Dance is enough for Meganium, but with a lead like that, I'm just not so sure. But now it is time for the next section of the game. We'll be going over the Ho-Oh stuff since we're playing Heart Gold. We'll fight the rival in Victory Road and then take on the final 5 trainers. This is the chapter I like to call Chapter 3, the Pokémon League. Since we've already started with Feraligatr, Typhlosion, and Meganium, I'd say this time let's start with Feraligatr. As soon as I'm able to get my Dratini, which I don't get with Feraligatr since Feraligatr is going to be my waterfall user, not a Dratini, which is a little bit of a time save too. I have to go to Ecruteak City and take out the Kimono Girls. They all have their evolutions at level 38, so you have to do the fight a lot later. Plus, you have to do them all back to back. No healing in between. So they actually can be hard, but luckily not for Feraligatr. And then I can go through the Tin Tower, get a rare candy that's in here, and then the Kimono Girls summon Ho-Oh, and then I run away like a wimp. And then I can fly back to New Bark Town, use this PC here to heal up my Pokemon, and then I can head east towards Kanto. I go to this little area here to get a rare candy, and then I use Waterfall through this cave, and then I can make it through the other side. I defeat a lot of the trainers that are here just because there are no trainers in Victory Road, and this is actually quite decent training at this point. But here's the sad thing. There's this one trainer here with a Quagsire. I'm unfortunately paralyzed too many times. I misclick and go for a Waterfall on a Quagsire which had Water Absorb, and I also had Leech Seeds stacked on top of that, so I didn't save beforehand, so I actually had to black out and then come back. So yeah, that wasn't fun. The rest of the trainers are easy after that, and then I can go inside of Victory Road, get another rare candy that's right here, and there's also the TM for Earthquake too, but I don't need it. And then before I can enter the Pokemon League, Steve challenges me to a fight. He starts off with his Sneasel, I go for return, knocking it out in one hit. Next up is his Magneton. I misclick and go for return, and I get hit with Thunder Wave and Supersonic. Uh-oh. After a few turns though, I am able to knock it out. Next up is the Haunter. Just please don't use Curse. I don't know if it knows Curse, but luckily it didn't use it, and I knock it out with Crunch. Next up is the Kadabra. I go for Crunch, but then it disables my Crunch while I'm trying to use it. Jerk. And then I knock out the Kadabra with Return, and then finally is his Typhlosion. I go for Waterfall, hopefully I can hit it. I do, and I beat the rival at 18 HP while paralyzed. Oh wait, there's a Golbat. I always forget about this Golbat, and I get a loss. Man. On the second attempt, I don't do that stupid misclick with the Magneton, so I'm able to completely destroy his team. And then before I go inside of the Pokemon League, I talk to this tile right here to get another rare candy, and then I can enter the League building, where I heal at the center, buy my usual full restores and max repels for Kanto, and then I save before the Elite Four with a time of 2 hours 44 seconds. Alright, let's head on over to Typhlosion. As soon as I get my Dratini, I fly around the region to get rare candies. I go to Violet City and get this rare candy and PP up, and then I fly to Azalea Town and get the free Charcoal, which I completely forgot to get while I was here, but it's not like I really needed it. Flamethrower was just destroying everything. And then I go to Goldenrod City and then go south and get another rare candy. There are still some more rare candies to get though. I go into the Whirl Islands, I go into this one specific island, and right at the very back of this room here is a rare candy. So then I can dig out and then go back to Ecruteak City, and now I'm going to go inside Mount Mortar, go up the waterfall, and get this rare candy. There is another rare candy here too, but it's locked behind Rock Climb. And then finally I get the rare candy at the Lake of Rage. With all those candies obtained, I can go back to Professor Elm, and then he gives me a Master Ball, and at this point I have to do the Kimono Girl stuff. I don't have any problems defeating them, going through the Tin Tower, running away from the Ho-Oh, and then I can make it back to New Bark Town and surf into Kanto. I don't have any resets or blackouts in this area of the game, so let's check out the final rival battle. Oh yeah, I also do get the TM for Earthquake. I don't teach it right now, but I will teach it eventually. As usual, the rival leads with Sneasel. It gets one shot with Flamethrower. The Golbat goes down to Flamethrower. That's good. Next up is the Magneton. I just keep on going with Flamethrower. One shot does the trick. I get to level 56. Now for the Haunter. One Flamethrower knocks it out. Of course, what do you expect? Then on the Kadabra, I go for Flamethrower, which gets a critical hit. And next up is the Typhlosion. I'm not Flamethrowing that thing. I start a rollout chain. It might have been a better idea to go for return, but whatever. And then I can exit Victory Road, get this rare candy right here, heal at the center, buy some full restores and max repels, and then I save before the final 5 trainers with a split time of 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 31 seconds. Alright, now we've got Meganium. I go around the region just like Typhlosion did, getting all those Jotonian rare candies, and then I take out the Kimono Girls with no issue, do all the Ho-Oh Tin Tower stuff, and then I can go through the Kanto routes towards Victory Road. And then when I enter Victory Road, I get the rare candy and the TM for Earthquake. So now let's fight the rival. On his first Sneasel, I start by setting up a Swords Dance or two, and then I can begin the return sweep. Return one-shots the Sneasel, the Golbat. It would one-shot the Typhlosion too, but it outspeeds and hits me with Lava Plume, so now I'm at 11 HP remaining. Uh-oh. The Haunter obviously can't get hit with that. I try to go for Synthesis, but the Haunter outspeeds me and knocks me out. The main problem was the Sneasel. It kept going for Icy Wind, which lowers my speed, so I knock that out right away and try to set up on the Golbat instead. It has the disadvantage of confusing me though, but still, that's better than getting my speed dropped. And then on the second try, I'm able to defeat the rival and save before the Elite Four with a split time of 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 8 seconds. Okay, Meganium has definitely caught up a bunch. Feraligatr is still in first place by 13 minutes, but now Meganium has taken second place, with Typhlosion behind by around a minute and a half. This is definitely getting heated. So now, we're going to talk about the final 5 trainers of Johto, and then we're going to go through Kanto. So now, let's go over the Elite Four. Let's do this shit. The first Elite Four member is the Psychic type member, Will. I go for Return right away, which doesn't one-shot the Johto. I probably should have gone with a Swords Dance first. Oh well, I just keep spamming Return and things just work out on their own. I'm actually going to try something a bit different for this Elite Four in this video. I'm going to talk about the first 4 Elite Four members with Meganium, then Typhlosion, then Feraligatr, and then all 3 of them will do the champion at once. Let me know which method you like better. Next up is the Elite Four member Koga. I start off by using Return, just one-shotting things, and then when his Muck comes out, it would be able to survive a Return, but then it got crit, so yeah. You know what's funny? I have Swords Dance, I can use it, it's just I haven't been using it. But when I get to his Fortress though, I go for Return, Magical Leaf, and then Return, because if I had used 2 Returns, that would have put it into full restore range. Next up is the 3rd Elite Four member, Bruno. He leads off with his Hitmontop, and his fighting types do not have as good special defense as defense, although they are both kinda high, so 2 Magical Leafs take him out. Then on the Hitmonlee, I keep spamming Magical Leaf. You know, I really should have just used some Swords Dances first. I have no idea what I'm doing here. But still, it looks like it's still working either way. Magical Leaf is 2-shotting his fighting types. And then when it gets to his Machamp, I go for Return, and then the Citrus Berry heals it out of a 2-hit range. Sad. And then it hits me with Revenge. I get put at 14 HP left. So during my heal turn, I finally decide to go for Swords Dance. And then I use Synthesis to heal some of my HP. And then one Return knocks out the Machamp. And then the second Onix is obviously going to be a one-shot with Magical Leaf. Now is the 4th Elite Four member, Karen. Her Umbreon doesn't have Sand Attack like in Crystal. Instead, it has Double Team, which I arguably think is better because Double Team only affects the Umbreon. It doesn't affect Meganium the entire battle like Sand Attack would. So once I set up my 3 Swords Dances, Return is a one-shot on everything. Although it's not a one-shot on the Gengar because it is immune to Return. And you might think, why not teach Earthquake? Gengar has Levitate in this game. It has Levitate until Gen 7, so yeah, I have to use Magical Leaf. It unfortunately is only doing a quarter, but then the Gengar starts using Spite to get rid of my power points. Uh-oh. So I'm slowly running out of Magical Leaves. Karen uses a full restore. Okay. I go for Synthesis to try and trick the Gengar into not using Spite, but it just kept going for Spite over and over again, and I have to reset because I run out of moves. I ended up deciding to just let the Gengar just use Spite all at once. I go for my other moves, let it use up all of those first, because maybe I can either knock it out with Struggle, or it can run out of Spite on everything else but Magical Leaf. But then once it eventually stops going for Spite, I can spam Magical Leaf, and even if I run out of Magical Leaves, I can just spam Return, and then I'll eventually get Struggle. But luckily that doesn't happen, and I defeat Karen with almost all of my power points gone. You bitch. Let's see how Typhlosion does. On Will, his first Johto is a one-shot with Flamethrower. Then on his Slowbro, I misclick and go for Flamethrower, which does half, and then it boosts its special defense with Amnesia, so I use a Return to knock it out. Then on the Jinx, I go for Flamethrower, knocking it out in a single hit. So far so good. Then the Exeggutor is a one-shot with Flamethrower, as is his second Johto. On Koga, if you're using a fire type, you straight up just have an advantage because his whole entire team, except for his Muck and his Crobat, are weak to fire. So yeah, there's no struggle at this fight. Bruno though can be difficult because his Pokemon do have rock moves. On his Hitmontop, I go for Return, and then it hits me with Counter, and now I'm in red health. That's potentially good, it puts me in Blaze range. Blaze is an ability that boosts my fire moves by 50% at less than a third HP. So I just spam Flamethrower the rest of the way, and it actually one-shots the Machamp. If it one-shots the Machamp, it will one-shot the Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. So that counter, putting me into Blaze, actually was very useful. Alright, hopefully Typhlosion has an easier time than Meganium does. On Karen's Houndoom, I try to use Flamethrower on it, but at this moment I found out it has Flash Fire. So it looks like rollout strats are going to be the key to winning this fight. 8 resets into the run, I knock out the Houndoom and the Gengar right afterwards, and then I finish off Karen's team. Alright, now we just gotta see Feraligatr, and then all of them can do Lance. I pretty much have a good move for almost every person in the league. On Will Johto, I go for Return, but then I realized, wait a minute, I have Crunch. So I just spam Crunch for the entirety of Will. Then on Koga, I pretty much default to just my most powerful move, which is Waterfall. because after the same type attack bonus, it's a physical water move with an effective power of 120. I could have had the Mystic Water too, which is in Cherry Grove City, so it's not that bad to get, I just forgot about it. Next up is Bruno. I go for Waterfall on his Hitmontop. It lives in red health and kills me with counter. Ouch. On the second attempt, I go for Waterfall thinking it would knock it out this time, but sadly no. I do it again, and luckily on the third try, I got a critical hit, so it doesn't leave it in 1 HP this time. Then the Hitmonchan's a one-shot with Waterfall, as is the Hitmonlee. Okay, let's see if the Machamp will go down to 1 hit. I doubt it, but we'll see. Nope, but luckily the Citrus Berry keeps it in 2-hit range, and my Waterfall actually flinched it, so yeah, that was a near damageless Bruno. Alright, now we've just got Karen. I used Waterfall on her Umbreon for the 2-hit, and then Vileplume gets Ice Fang, Houndoom gets Waterfall, as does Murkrow and the Gengar. Alright, now let's go over Lance. Let's go back to Meganium. Lance leads off with his Gyarados with Intimidate, so like before, any physical attackers will have a hard time in Heart Gold because of this. But here's the lucky thing. I've got Swords Dance. Even though the Gyarados does have Ice Fang, you have to remember, I have Synthesis, I can heal up. And then Return is just going to completely destroy his whole team. Plus I can heal with Synthesis if I need to. And then Meganium defeats Lance with a split time of 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 55 seconds. I'm not going to count the level or the resets because this is not the end of the run. Typhlosion's definitely going to have it rough because of that lead Gyarados, but let's take a look. Intimidate cuts my attack. The first thing I do is go for a Defense Curl, and then the Gyarados uses Waterfall for only a quarter of my health. Huh, not as much as I thought. And then I use 2 rollouts on it, and luckily the 2 rollouts is enough. And next up is Aerodactyl. The turn 3 rollout takes it out. Okay, can I keep up the rollout chain? He sends out his Dragonite next, level 49. The +4 rollout knocks it out. Alright, next up is his level 50, and the +5 knocks it out. Okay, rollout can only go up to 5 times though, so I would have to reset up. Here's the thing though, his level 49 Dragonites are the one with Thunder Wave. That's why I was a bit worried. But I realized there's not much I can do, just keep spamming rollout. I almost knock out the Dragonite with 2 rollouts, but then during the rollout chain I miss, and then unfortunately his Charizard is able to knock me out. Okay, I see the solution. I equip a Cherry Berry. 10 resets into the run though, I'm able to get a correct rollout chain going, and Typhlosion defeats Lance with a split time of 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 22 seconds. Alright, let's take a look at Feraligatr. Feraligatr does not have a stat boosting move like Swords Dance or Defense Curl with rollout. I have to rely on pure offensive strats. I knock out the Gyarados with 3 uses of Return. Okay. Although having that Intimidate up does not help. But will Ice Fang still knock out the Dragonite? Almost, but no. But luckily on his first Dragonite, I get a Freeze, but then Lance just heals it away with a full Restore. Dude, this is even with the Never Melt Ice. That Intimidate is preventing the one-shot. And then on his second Dragonite, it paralyzes me, so that's pretty much the end of me. So I go back into the Lance fight with 1 rare candy used to get to level 60 over a damage rounding threshold. This should allow the near guaranteed knockout of the Dragonites with Ice Fang. And luckily that is indeed proven true. Because here's the thing, with damage rounding thresholds, levels that end in 0, 3, 5, or 8 will do significantly more damage than previous levels due to how rounding works in damage calculations, because it always cuts off the decimal. But anyway, with all that nerd talk out of the way, I can take out Lance's Charizard with Waterfall, get to level 61, and I defeat Lance with a split time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 11 seconds. Alright, so if we take a look at our splits, Feraligatr is in the lead still, Meganium is in second place, and Typhlosion is a close last. So yeah, this is definitely getting interesting, but however, the next area of the game is the entirety of Kanto. Most of the gym leaders here are still easy, even in Heart Gold, but depending on the type matchups, some of them might be hard. We'll see though. So now for this next section of the game, we'll be going over the entirety of Kanto, all the way up to defeating Blue. This is the chapter I like to call Chapter 4, Kanto. This time, we're going to start off with Meganium. So at this point, after defeating the Elite Four and Champion, I can go back to Olivine City, and there's this new area called the Battle Frontier Access. There is a hidden rare candy here, so I pick that up, and then I can go set sail on the SS Aqua. I can do all the stuff needed on the ship, And then in Vermilion City, I can talk to the director of the fan club, and I can get a free rare candy. So at this point, you could take on Surge, but it's not a good idea to if you're not going to outspeed his Pokemon. All of them have Double Team and Thunder Wave. So yeah, not a good idea. So then I bike through Saffron City and go into Celadon. There is no trash can leftovers in Heart Gold like in Crystal. I'm not going to get a leftovers until I catch the Snorlax, which is what my Master Ball is for. Plus the Snorlax happens to be a Rock Climb user, so that's another good reason to get it. So the first Cantonian gym leader I fight is Erica. Erica's team has a unique strategy. If any of her Pokemon set up Sunny Day, all of them have the ability Chlorophyll, which doubles their speed in the sunlight, plus they all have Solar Beam too, so they can do very massive damage. But the good thing is, with the sunlight up, my Synthesis is healing so much more HP, and I'm able to defeat Erica on the first try. Alright, the next gym leader I take on is the Psychic leader Sabrina. She only has 3 Pokemon in this game. She leads off with an Espeon. Also, here's another thing. All the Cantonian gym leaders do have a level boost from Gold and Silver. It's around by like 8 to 10 levels. Still kind of low, but at least they're all stronger than Lance. So at least they might prove to be a challenge, but Sabrina is definitely not one of them. And then I bike up north to Cerulean City, and then I head on over to the power plant. I can talk to this guy to know that the machine part is missing, and then I can enter the Cerulean City gym, find the Team Rocket Grunt, but unlike Crystal, you can't just pick up the machine part, you have to defeat the Rocket Grunt first, and then go back to the gym to find the machine part. But I'm not going to do that, that's a waste of movement time, so I'll just continue going north, defeat the Nugget Bridge trainers, and then I'll see Misty with her boyfriend and get her to go back to the gym, and then when I go inside the gym to face her, then I can get the machine part. Misty is a bit hard to get to in this version of her gym just because there are so many trainers everywhere, plus there's a swimming pool and a bunch of stuff everywhere. I defeat the trainers in here for the easy XP because I'm a grass type user, so now let's see how Meganium does with Misty. I predict it'll be easy. She leads off with a level 49 Golduck, I'm level 66. Magic Leaf does not one-shot the Golduck surprisingly. It probably has really high special defense. So what I choose to do instead is set up Swords Dance until it gets disabled by the Golduck, and then I just knock it out with Return. And then when the Lapras comes out, Return leaves it at like 10 HP left, so I know that Misty's gonna heal, but I decide to go for Return anyway, and then for some reason she just didn't heal. And then the Starmie comes up, I knock it out with 1 Return, Swords Dance is no longer disabled, but Magical Leaf will deal 4 times damage to Quagsire, so yeah, Misty's not a challenge, just like I thought. I can get the machine part before I leave, go return it to the power plant, and then I can fly back to Saffron City, bike on over to Lavender Town, and then I can talk to the director of the Kanto radio tower where the old Pokemon tower used to be, and then I can get the expansion card, which gives me access to the Poke Flute. But before I wake up the Snorlax, I fly on back to Vermilion City, and then I can enter Surge's gym. Also, unfortunately, the trash can puzzle is back, and there is no game hook compatibility with Heart Gold yet, and there's no way to automatically solve the trash can. Plus, even if there were, the flags are probably encrypted or something, so they wouldn't be possible to edit. I could just pause my timer here, but here's the thing, like, it's not going to take that much time to solve, so I just spend like the 30 seconds and solve it, because Heart Gold runs are not going to go down to 30 seconds. It's just not going to happen. And then I can solve the puzzle, defeat Surge's trainers, and then take on Lieutenant Surge. He leads off with Raichu. At this point, I should have taught Earthquake, but Swords Dance with Return will be enough. Plus, I have the Silk Scarf held too, so that'll make Return even stronger. And then with my Swords Dances set up, I can just sweep his whole team with Return, even the Magneton. And then right afterwards, Surge can give me the TM for Shockwave. I can guarantee you, that late in the game, that is not a useful move. All the Cantonian gym leaders give a TM in this game, unlike in Crystal where only Erica and Janine did. So at this point, I can use my Master Ball on the Snorlax to catch it. Not only it's my Rock Climb user, but it also is holding a piece of leftovers. So I just have to go into my bag, and I have to swap on over my Waterfall user. I actually forgot to get a Dratini, so I just caught a Tentacruel in the water instead for Waterfall. Funny. But if I had the Dratini though, I would just deposit it because as soon as you finish the Jotonian section, get the rare candy Mount Mortar, you do not need Waterfall anymore. I'm not going to equip the leftovers just yet though, because the text that shows whenever it heals just takes a while. And then I can go into Brock's gym to feed his gym trainers, and then just one-shot every one of his Pokemon with Magical Leaf. And then I can bike through Viridian City, down into Pallet Town, and all the way down to Cinnabar Island. Blue is here, but he won't teleport to his gym unless you have all the other Kanto badges. So unlike Crystal, you can't fight Blue in any order, he has to be last. Which honestly doesn't even make a difference, we pretty much always fight him last. And then I can go on over to the Seafoam Islands and go to this top floor right here where Blaine has a homemade gym. So I do have a type disadvantage here, but who knows, let's see how Blaine goes. He leads off with his Magcargo. The first thing I do is go for Swords Dance, and it hits me with Overheat doing less than half. It lowers its special attack, but then the white herb it was holding gets rid of that. And I realize, uh-oh, I better start sweeping. But then then Overheat knocks me out. Okay, I know what I did wrong. I now have Earthquake on my moveset. I go for one Swords Dance and just go for the Earthquake Sweep, which completely destroys everything. So yeah, I really should have remembered to teach this. That reset could have been avoided. But then before I head on over to Fuchsia City to take on Janine, I go down into the actual Seafoam Island cavern, you know, with all the ice everywhere, and all the way at the very end is another rare candy. And it's fine too, because I can just keep on going and then emerge on the other side, and then I can surf on over to Fuchsia City and take on Janine. Here's the thing though, despite the level boost, she is still the weakest gym leader in all of Kanto in this game, but she can still provide a challenge depending on the Pokemon, but it's a small list, but still. Meganium definitely does not struggle today. And now with the 7 gym badges from Kanto, I can talk to Blue, get him to go back to his gym, and now I can enter his gym. He has a bunch of spinning arrow tiles just like a Team Rocket hideout has. He has some gym trainers that don't follow a particular type, but luckily you don't have to fight any of them. So now, let's see how Meganium handles Blue. He leads off with Exeggutor. You have to be careful with this thing. It'll go for Trick Room turn 1, which will reverse the dimensions, which makes slower Pokemon move first. I'm fine with it though for now because the Exeggutor can't hurt me that much. And then as soon as I finish setting up my Swords Dances and the Trick Room goes away, I can one-shot his Exeggutor. The Arcanine comes out and uses Intimidate to lower my attack to +5, but Earthquake does the one-shot. And then his Ace Pidgeot comes out, which is a one-shot with Return. And then next up is his Gyarados, lowering my attack to +4. But that still doesn't matter, Return still one-shots it. And then the Rhydon, I just use Earthquake on it. I level up to level 74, and finally is his Machamp. He replaced his Alakazam with his Machamp for some reason, I don't know why. And then I can knock it out in one hit, and defeat Blue with a split time of 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 13 seconds. Alright, as I go over the other two, I'm only going to bring up any difficult gym leaders, starting with Typhlosion. With Typhlosion, as soon as I enter Vermilion City, I go immediately fight Lieutenant Surge, but let me show you why that's not a good idea. I get paralyzed right away by his first Raichu because it outspeeds me, so I decide not to just do this fight at all and just skip it and move on for later. So yeah, pretty much never fight early Surge, you get no benefit out of it. But I do actually get a legitimate reset. I'm all the way at Brock. I get to his Onix. I'm trying to use Solar Beam on his Pokemon. I got the TM for that back in the Goldenrod department store. And then his Kabutops comes out. It goes for Rock Slide while I'm charging Solar Beam, and I get my first actual reset on a Kanto gym leader. It happens twice. His Kabutops uses Aqua Jet, which is a priority move, and knocks me out. However though, 15 resets in, I'm finally able to defeat Brock. I just gotta remember to keep the sunny day up at all times. I was just being lazy with the sun. On Blaine though, this reset was honestly kind of my fault. I ran out of power points on Rock Slide on Blaine. I taught Rock Slide to Typhlosion via TM, which Brock gives you. So yeah, I do win on the second attempt when I actually use an Ether on it. Janine is also easy. Now let's go check out Blue. On his Exeggutor, I don't have to worry about it setting up Trick Room because it's a one-shot with Flamethrower. And then on his Rhydon, I go for Solar Beam, which one-shots it, nice. And then next up is the Gyarados. I go for Rock Slide, and of course the Intimidate prevents it from getting knocked out, but luckily the Rock Slide causes a flinch. Next up is the Machamp. I go for Flamethrower, and it knocks it out in one hit. Nice. Then the Arcanine comes out, it uses Intimidate again, so my Rock Slide's now doing less than half, but then the Arcanine, funnily enough, goes for Roar, so I have to switch back into Typhlosion. That eliminates all of my attack drops. So yeah, that Arcanine pretty much gave me the win. And then I can defeat his final Pidgeot, and Typhlosion gets a blue split of 3 hours, 1 minute, and 23 seconds. Alright, now for Feraligatr. You may see inside of Surge's gym, I actually do get a reset in here, but that's not from actually fighting Surge. I'm trying to solve the trash can puzzle, and if I don't find the second switch, I just reset. So yeah, I just thought I'd let you know. Surge himself, though, is actually very easy. And then while I'm in Pewter City, before I fight Brock, I talk to this guy right here to get a Silver Wing. All this does is let me access the deeper part of the Whirl Islands to get Lugia, but I'm not there to get Lugia. There's a second rare candy that's over there that I want to get later. And then Feraligatr finishes off Brock, easily finishes Blaine, and then with Feraligatr, I do a little bit of optional training because I'm not at the right minimum level before rare candies, because Feraligatr needs to be a certain level before using my rare candies, mostly because of the Exeggutor. It's not that much though. I only train up to level 74, go around the rest of the Johto and the Kanto regions to get all the rare candies I can, including the second rare candy that's deep in the Whirl Islands. I actually do kind of forget where it is for a second, but I'm able to find it. And now with all the rare candies I need obtained, I can now go fight Blue. I am now level 88 for this fight, because at this level, Ice Fang will guarantee one-shot the Exeggutor, because if it's able to outspeed me, it might have Giga Drain, I'm not sure, but even if it doesn't, the rest of his team will outspeed me and knock me out. So it is super important that you either knock out the Exeggutor in one hit, or have a setup move to stall the Twisted Room. But anyway, once the Exeggutor is knocked out, the rest of his team is pretty easy despite an attempt at trying to switch me into a Togepi. And I defeat Blue with a split time of 3 hours, 15 minutes, and 3 seconds. Alright, things have definitely changed. Feraligatr is now in last place because I had to gather all my rare candies before Blue instead of before Red like everyone else. Typhlosion is now in the lead, but that's probably temporary. Meganium is closely behind in second. But now, we are finally able to go over Red in any preparations the two make. Let's start with Feraligatr. I head on back to Pallet Town and then talk to Professor Oak, who gives me permission to head on over to Mount Silver. Before I do that though, I head on over to Cinnabar Island and get the Cinnabar rare candy. In Hargold Soul Silver, this is locked behind Rock Climb. You need all 16 badges to use that move. And then I can head west toward Victory Road towards Route 28. I can go heal at the center right here, and then I can enter Mount Silver Cave. This place is a gigantic maze compared to Crystal version, plus there is a hidden rare candy right here, so yeah, last minute candy. And then as soon as I make it to the very end, I make a moveset overhaul, and then I can face Red. My final moveset is Attract, Ice Fang, Waterfall, and Focus Punch. Starting with Red's Pikachu, it goes down in one hit, luckily Static doesn't activate. Next up is the Venusaur. I go for Ice Fang, doing half damage. It misses Sleep Powder, luckily. That's fine. And then a second Ice Fang knocks it out. Also, the Hail is up too. The Hail is almost always up unless you do it on a day of Diamond Dust. And then the Blastoise is up. I go for Attract because I want to knock it out with Focus Punch. And as long as I can get it infatuated one turn, Focus Punch will hit. That's why Attract and Focus Punch is such a good combo for Red, especially for his Snorlax. Check this out. I'll use Attract on the Snorlax, and watch when I use Focus Punch. See? It's infatuated, and I hit it with Focus Punch, its HP slowly goes down, and it knocks it out in a single blow. Amazing. The Lapras is also good too. He doesn't have an Espeon like he does in Crystal. It was replaced with Lapras to be more Cantonian. And then the Focus Punch one-shots the Lapras as well. I get to level 89, and finally is his Charizard. That I'm obviously going to use Waterfall. It lives on 1 HP though, but that's fine. The Hail will take it out, and Feraligatr has beaten Pokemon Heart Gold with a split of 3 hours 22 minutes flat, with 8 resets at level 89, and a game time of 7 hours and 37 minutes. Alright, now let's check out Meganium. I also go around picking up rare candies. There's also a rare candy inside a Cerulean Cave where Mewtwo lives. That place does not exist in Crystal. The rare candy though isn't that hard to get. I also go around the region and get every other rare candy I missed too, so that way by the time I face Red, I am at level 93. I reset on Red because I went into the fight the first time without using rare candies. I go for Attract on Pikachu, because on the Pikachu I'm going to use this chance to set up. The The reason I use Attract is because Pikachu is holding the Light Ball. It doubles its attack and special attack. So by the numbers, Pikachu is his hardest hitting Pokemon. So I have to set up on that thing and make sure it can't attack me. Because the reason I have to set up on is because next up is the Charizard. This high of a level is needed to make sure I outspeed the Charizard, which is very important. The Lapras is very slow, so there's no need to worry about that. Return one-shots the Lapras. Then next up is the Venusaur. I go for Return. Can it one-shot? Yes, it does. Okay. And then on the Snorlax, Return is an obvious one-shot. And his final Pokemon is Blastoise. I go for Return, doing the final blow, and Meganium has clocked in, with a time of 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 37 seconds, with 12 resets at level 93, and a game time of 8 hours and 2 minutes. Alright, but we still have Typhlosion, so let's take a look. My final moveset here is Flamethrower, Sunny Day, Rock Slide, and Solar Beam, and I'm level 85. On Red's Pikachu, I go for Flamethrower, knocking it out in one hit, and then next up is the Blastoise. I go for Sunny Day, it chooses Focus Blast. Here's the funny thing, it has Hydro Cannon, but the AI will negatively prioritize moves that require a recharge unless they're desperate. Like, I noticed they tend to use it if they're low on HP, so that's why I didn't go for it. I also have the leftovers equipped too for subtle healing. I do the same thing with all three of them. And as long as I make sure to keep the sun up, Solar Beam will always be a one-turn move. And then eventually I make it to his Snorlax. I go for Flamethrower, not doing that much obviously, because I was hoping it would burn or something. So I switch on over to Rock Slide, and Rock Slide isn't any better. After a couple more resets, I now have the moveset Flamethrower, Attract, Rock Slide, and Focus Punch. And it also takes a bunch of resets to get the luck to line up, mostly because of the Blastoise. But then 20 resets in, I get to the Snorlax, so now I'm trying to land the Attract Focus Punch. I land the Focus Punch, and it lives in red health. Ouch. And then I tighten my focus, he uses a full restore. That's fine, because it doesn't count as an attack, and then I can actually hit it. And it still, unfortunately, gets a similar roll. And here's the bad thing about the Hail being up. Leftovers is only canceling out hail damage. I'm not excessively healing HP, because I no longer have Sunny Day to change the weather. Then next up is the Charizard. I go for Rock Slide, which is a one-shot. That's good. And then finally is his Venusaur. I go for Attract on it to try and prevent Sleep Powder, and now at this point, I go for Flamethrower. It almost knocks it out, but then it goes through Attract, hits me with Sludge Bomb, I live on 5 HP, and Hail ruins me. Yeah, in this fight, I am getting absolutely terrible luck. I just realized level 85 is not going to be enough, especially since the others had to be 88 to 93. So I actually go around the regions, picking up the extra rare candies I didn't get earlier. And then when I get back to Red, I am now level 91. This is honestly really hurting Typhlosion's time badly. If I ever do any redos in Heart Gold, number one, it's going to be Typhlosion, because I should have been a higher level from the start. Plus, I'm still having bad luck here, mostly because Attract is not working when it needs to, because I have to attract Focus Punch on the Blastoise and the Lapras too. So yeah, this is taking a lot of resets. And then 42 resets into the run, I finally beat Red after finally getting rid of all that bad luck. I defeat him with a time of 4 hours and 10 seconds. You may notice that's not what the clock says. I accidentally left my recording paused, and I continued playing the game for an additional 10 to 12 minutes. So to compensate, I'm adding 10 to 12 minutes to my final time. Anyway, with 42 resets at level 91, and a game time of 7:37. Same as for Alligator, by the way. Yeah, these results are definitely not what I expected coming into this. Meganium is the clear first place winner, with Feraligatr 12 minutes behind, and Typhlosion is just way far behind. It actually arrived at Red like 3 minutes before Meganium beat Red. So if I had actually gotten those rare candies, there is a chance I could have beaten Meganium. But Typhlosion's redo will happen one day, just not today or anytime soon, but it will get done. Anyway, if we take a look at our leaderboards now, Meganium and Feraligatr beat Miltank for the first place leaderboard spot. Feraligator's in second place, Meganium is in first, and then Typhlosion is in 7th place, a couple minutes behind Charizard, which also needs a redo, because Charizard was done before I allowed the game corner, and Charizard would really benefit from Swords Dance, so yeah, my redo list is quite big in this game. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this Heart Gold video. I certainly did, and I look forward to doing more runs of this in the new year. And now that we've finished the Generation 4 of games, we're down to the 2 remaining games, Black version and White version 2. The next video will be Pokemon Black with the Unova Legendary Trio, Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem. That run will definitely be very interesting. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow my socials or support me on Patreon or YouTube memberships. Links are down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.